Back to Real Talk Sports with Rico. Today I'll be your host, guys. Today we're talking about NBA free agency, and we're talking about the 15 free agents that possibly are going to shape the market, or they're going to be the biggest names out there, guys. I know I missed you last week. I got a couple shows coming for you between today and tomorrow. So let's go ahead and jump right into the content, guys. And we are taking a look here at the top free agents out there, the 15 big free agents. And it starts with this guy named Paul George. I think that Paul George is the guy that everybody is really looking to see what Paul George is going to do. I think that depending if Paul George is going to stay with the Clippers or not is going to dictate what a lot of teams are wanting to do, right? There's the Philadelphia 76ers who are out there reportedly around him, but I think that those talks have since cooled off, which is very interesting to me with the Philadelphia 76ers because their talks have cooled off around Paul George, Zach LaVine, not even really hearing anything of what they would possibly try to do to get Brandon Ingram over via trade. But this guy right here is a guy that I think a lot of people are going to want to take a chance on with Paul George. I believe he's wanting to get something near his max at this point in time. And look, it says right here that George doesn't want to leave Los Angeles at all, possibly. So, look, I don't think he wants to leave necessarily. I think that he wants to stay in LA. He is from out here in California. I just think that the bottom line is that, at some point, does Paul George say to himself, like, how many years am I going to run with a guy like Kawhi and he's going to get hurt? What about Russ and that whole situation? And then they still also have James Harden out there. Next up, LeBron James. Look, we clearly expect for him to opt out of his deal and opt back in. I think when they drafted his son, it is all but a done deal that LeBron James is coming. And even if LeBron James even if the Lakers didn't get his son, I don't think that LeBron would necessarily be leaving the Lakers. I can't believe he would be doing so. But look, they went out and got the coach he wanted in JJ Redick. They also drafted his son. Like, I don't think that there's any place that he was going to go except for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think that clearly after this deal is up, you could probably see him probably sign with, Cleveland and maybe end it that way. Tyrese Maxey is a guy that I think he's pretty much already spoken for. OG is a guy that is expected to sign with the Knicks already. And they went ahead and they are going to pay him quite a bit of money. And then this guy here is a guy that I'm not sure if they're going to be able to bring him back, and that's Isaiah Hartenstein. I tell you what, as a Bulls fan, I would love to have Isaiah Hartenstein. Look, I think that what he has done has been invaluable for the Knicks. And to be honest with you, I think that he has made Mitchell Robinson a bit more replaceable, and also to maybe Julius Randle as well. All right. And so I think that both of those players, as noted here, if you're looking at the screen, have dealt with injuries. And so that's one of the things that I like about this. But it says the Knicks have serious cap limitations here, but this guy can hoop. All right. And I mean, I think that his value is there. He was healthier. He's definitely a guy that plays with some toughness. And I like him a lot. Even though he's had the 7 points a game and 8 rebounds a game, there's so many things that he does that impacts winning. DeMar DeRozan with the Chicago Bulls at 6. I think that DeMar DeRozan it's a foregone conclusion that I think that DeMar DeRozan is gone, in my opinion. I just did a piece where I talked about that because Chicago has not dealt away Zach LaVine. All right. And because of the massive amount of money that he's sucking up, plus they did not go ahead, waive stretch Lonzo. They didn't cut him, anything like that. There's so much money that was already put into assets on the team, and it's going to be tough to retain free agents. All right. So Patrick Williams, DeMar DeRozan, like it's going to be tough. Even though Patrick Williams is on an offer sheet, he can be like another team can swoop in that has the cap space and enough money and pretty much can outbid the Bulls. With DeMar DeRozan, I just couldn't see them locking him up with the money situation that's going on with Chicago. And honestly, without Caruso there, I think that it's better served for DeMar DeRozan to probably move on in free agency and play for a winner. The only thing that's going to suck about that is that I think DeMar DeRozan is probably going to take lesser money. His scoring and clutch ability, it's unmatchable. I love DeMar DeRozan. I hope he wins a ring, period. I don't care where he goes. He deserves to win a ring. James Harden. All right. So this is interesting. Philly moved on from him. Obviously, Daryl Morey did not want to pay him money. He is from LA as well. Look, he wants to make a lot of money going into this last deal or whatever he's going to do. And look, I think he played serviceable for the Clippers. I think in a lot of ways he kind of pushed back the clock and showed that, hey, he can do some things. But I think that this is a tough decision for the Clippers. And I think that they're going to go all in here because, look, you just built a brand new arena in Los Angeles, and I just couldn't see them not going out and getting James Harden and Paul George out there. They need these guys on the team to help fill seats, and they're actually in Inglewood. So, look, I think that James Harden is a foregone conclusion. I think he's coming back. I just couldn't see any other team wanting to go ahead and, go out and get him. KCP, here's the guy that I think honestly could move on to Philadelphia. I think that if you're looking at a guy and you're wanting to be in a win now situation, I think that he's going to do so. I think he's going to decline his option and move on. Or maybe Denver is going to step in and say, hey, we still need you out here as a starter. That's going to leave a little bit more questions, I think, for Denver, especially since they just moved on from Reggie Jackson. So to lose KCP, I think would be a tough hit for the Denver Nuggets, where they were exposed with their bench. And then also, too, I think once they got out of their starting lineup, they were in trouble. So they need to find somebody that could fill in KCP. But I like him a lot to go to a team like Philadelphia. And then we got Klay Thompson. Okay, Klay Thompson is probably the second domino after Paul George. Several reports show that maybe Klay Thompson is looking to possibly move on to the Dallas Mavericks. There's the chance he could come back to Golden State, although it looks a bit unlikely. I'm hearing that possibly somehow LA might be wanting to get him. I don't know how they're going to do that. Are they going to just offer him a lifetime bag of chips? I don't know where they're going to get the money from. But anyway, Klay wants to get a pretty good contract. And the scary thing about this is, look, Klay has distanced himself somewhat from the team. From what we understand, he's taken down his social media stuff or whatever that associates him with the Golden State Warriors. The contracts have essentially stalled at this point in time. He took a little bit of a diminished role last year coming off the bench. And look, Klay is averaging 17.9 points per game, 3 rebounds a game, and 2 assists a game. So this is a guy that can absolutely still help you out a lot. And especially if you're going for a championship, like, can you imagine if Klay Thompson were to somehow slide over to the Nuggets? And I'm not saying that he's going to do that, but if he were to do that, dude, they would be a tough team to beat. Or if he would slide over to a team like OKC, or if he were to slide over to Minnesota, just hypotheticals. Even if he were to go to the Dallas Mavericks, those teams, even with a diminished Klay Thompson not being at an elite level like he once was, they are still going to be in contention to possibly win it all. Next up, Tobias Harris. I think he's the most underrated free agent out there, and I think he's the most underlooked, especially with the 76ers. Look, I'm not sure where he's going to go. Some of the places that they have him as going to are going to be the Pelicans, San Antonio, which also has the money to go ahead and take him on. Utah, that's an interesting situation because I always believe in what Danny Ainge is doing and building there. And I feel like Utah is going to be a lot better than what they have been. The question is, what are they going to do with Laurel Marketing? What would they do with him? How does he necessarily fit? Because they do have a lot of forwards out there. But I feel like Tobias Harris is another guy that I think you could slide him in right now and he could be in a winning situation. Like, I like him a lot in Denver. If KCP were to go, I think that he definitely could fill a void of knocking down jump shots and defending for you and getting boards as well. Look, 17.2 points a game, 6.5 rebounds a game. Look, even if you were to cut that a bit, I think he could absolutely still go out there and get you 12 to 14 points a game, 6 plus rebounds a game. The question is, how much are you going to be willing to pay Tobias Harris to do that? And is he willing to take a diminished role? A guy like Tyrus Jones, I think he is one of the most efficient point guards in the league. I think that his time in Memphis was very, very much missed by Memphis. And I think that Memphis would love to have him back at this point in time, even though Brooklyn, San Antonio, Toronto, those are all possible destinations. I certainly like San Antonio considering his brother is there. So I could absolutely see Tyrus Jones going there. Emmanuel quickly has since opted in. It looks like he's going to finish his year with the Raptors. Jonas Valanciunas, a guy that I think could potentially be with the Chicago Bulls. Maybe if the Bulls are able to possibly go ahead and move some stuff around and get this guy. Other than that, with Valanciunas, I think that he's kind of in a win now situation as well, guys. Where exactly he goes, that's a question for me. I know Philadelphia would love to have a nice backup center, but how much is he willing to take? 12 points a game, 8 rebounds a game. I think certainly a team like Philadelphia would love to have him on the front line. D'Angelo Russell, another guy that is very interesting in free agency. I think he would have to go ahead and opt out of the salary worth the $18.7 million here. And so that pretty much would allow him to kind of move or whatever the case may be. So I'm not sure what the Lakers are going to do with this. Um, I think he would be more in line for a pay cut if he does return back to the Lakers. I think that that's what you see here. As far as another team getting him, I just think that if a team were to get him, it might be the same situation as what was going on in Brooklyn. Like, I think Brooklyn would take him back. I think he fits there well, especially now that Bridges is gone. Like, I think there's a ton of opportunity for D'Angelo Russell there. But for him to play a starting point guard position and be on a winner, I think that that's going to be a little bit of a tough situation for him. He's going to have to take far lesser money, and that role might diminish as well. Malik Beasley didn't really pan out too much for the Bucks. I think that he was brought in to add some much needed shooting to them. Didn't necessarily bring the defensive know-how out there for the Milwaukee Bucks. And look, for him, I think he's going to be better served maybe moving on to a win now situation as well. Certainly could see him going back to Denver. I think that makes a whole bunch of sense. I could see him going back to Minnesota. I think that makes a bunch of sense as well. Like a guy that can come off the bench and go ahead and be an instant bucket for you. But it has to be a winning situation for Malik Beasley at this point. And I just think the Milwaukee Bucks, like, they got to find somebody who can defend in free agency. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, guys, that is today's pod. We were just basically talking about NBA free agency, the top 15. We're going to be talking about free agency as he gets ready to kick in tomorrow. So I'll be talking about that, some of the moves and signings and things that are in line. But these are the 15 free agents that we definitely want to circle. Before we jump out of here, want to thank Spotify, which was Anchor, actually, and that is where you can find me. You can also find me on YouTube as well, guys. Make sure you check me out there. You can also find me too on Bulls Digest as well, where I'm talking about everything Chicago Bulls. And as usual, guys, I love the people out there who have commented, chimed in, helped us drive topics to the show. Definitely thank you for the sponsors out there for putting sponsorship on the show. And this is Rico. This is Real Talk Sports with Rico. And I will see you guys on the next one very, very soon. Peace out, guys. Take care. Peace, peace, peace.